Oh, hello. Oops. So, I thought I should probably start putting things on YouTube. Why not? I have no expectations. See where it takes us, eh? Oh. But, yeah, I just didn't really have an idea for a first video or what to talk about. So, someone gave me the idea that someone, if you're watching, you know who, but, talking about a villain arc. So, how did one go from sort of a nihilistic state of emptiness and nothingness to coming back to, for lack of a better word, God. The essential thing that everything emanates from and everything goes back to. So that might be an interesting tangent. So if you've stuck around for this long, stick around a little longer, because it's gonna get a little cooler. Sure. But yeah, so I guess to start with that, I grew up more or less kind of Catholic. Not super Catholic, but Catholic enough. And as a kid, just kind of, yeah, believed in it. But then kind of around the age of 11, 12, began to question it somewhat. But then, actually, there was a period when I was about 12 or 13, I got right back into it. But then I fell away again, this time just incidentally, not really consciously or in any form of protest or resentment, I suppose. But then, I guess it went from sort of involuntary agnosticism, unconscious agnosticism, to what would you call it? Like an outright atheism and outright denial of any sort of divine, any sort of purpose, any sort of creator, any sort of order. And so with that, it got more reinforced, I suppose, just being in the culture and society I'm in and all that, and hanging around the people I was hanging around with, and yeah, it was like, outright sort of, oh, fuck God, fuck religion, blah, 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 I'm so cool. But, then, I guess a big turning point for me. So I was going to university at the time, and I was doing philosophy. Well, I was doing a double major. I was doing philosophy and anthropology. But, yeah, so, in philosophy, it was more or less even. It was just playing with ideas, I suppose, the exposure of both sides of the arguments for and against God, this and that, the other. But, it was in anthropology, actually. Something really struck me. Like, it was a sudden, it's a sudden realization that not majority, every single culture, every single society, every single group of people, throughout history in all parts of the world have been religious in one form or another. The differing degrees, differing complexities, differing simplicities, different practices, different beliefs, whatever. But they all possess that quality of being religious and possessing religiosity and projecting that and enacting that in whatever way they did. And not only in the past, in the present today, the 21st century, the age of information and boobity boop bop, still, even to this day, more people are religious than not religious. You know, societal atheism or nihilism, agnosticism, just a lack of a clear cut adoration of a divine essence, a divine entity, presence, whatever. That only Western society, and not all Western societies, but the majority of them, have actively quelled that and got rid of it. The rest of the world is very religious, and still is to this day. And so that kind of, I don't know, stoked the flames a bit in my sort of my own reflections on myself and the world in terms of the divine and the eternal and the sublime. And it turned me like outrightly agnostic, I suppose. I was like, well, who am I? You know, and it took more time to really understand the concept of God and integrate that into a sort of, you know, my own metaphysics and view of the world and myself and this, that, the other. Yeah, so that was kind of what was bringing me back. And then I guess in that time period as well, I was exposed to a lot more sort of I was dabbling in Buddhism a lot, in meditation, and you know, I was genuinely interested in like you know, religious practice, what that's meant to invoke in you, and what that's meant to bring about, and the concept of qualia became apparent in that, as you can read every religious book in the world, but you will not understand God and know God until you have felt God. And it's not rational, it's not scientific, it's not meant to be. We are human after all. Hardly rational or scientific things all the time. But in that was a very, how objectively subjective things are, that really hit me around that period. Spun me out a lot. Made me reconsider and question a lot of things. But yeah, so, you know, I was doing all that, but I wasn't outrightly like, there is a God, like, you know, whatever that word means. But yeah, like, you know, the dog's up on the bed there, just making a bit of noise. But yeah, you know, life was pretty crazy at that point. A lot of crazy things were going on, you know, and I was in a pretty big hole myself in a lot of ways. And oh, hello. Sorry. Elona. Sit down. Sit. Lie down, girly girl. Oh, the baby. But you know, I was in a lot of holes myself, and in these holes, you know, you gotta look to the light. So long story short, an opportunity came for me to move somewhere else away from where I was living, and I was living with a family member. And in that time, I was leaving behind a lot of really bad shit, and it was a very, I don't know, a time of huge change in my life as well, for a lot of reasons. But like, so I'm 27. At the time, I was 24. Yeah, and I ended up reading the Bhagavad Gita when I was staying at an ashram that my cousin's very involved in. So, you know, I was doing all this yoga and meditation, going hard at the ashram, and then I was reading the Bhagavad Gita too. And so the thing about the Bhagavad Gita, it always had Hare Krishnas like trying to give it to me, or give it to me for, it's a free book, it's free for a donation. You know, these people, and like because of that approach from the Hare Krishnas, like you know, using slippery language like that I kind of dismissed the Hare Krishnas as a cult and just some bullshit that I didn't even care to. I was 19 and I was studying philosophy and gonna save the world with communism. I think I know a bit more than you, you know, bullshit, cunt. But like I actually got this copy of the Bhagavad Gita from a guy. He was playing guitar, just playing guitar on the street, and he had some Bhagavad Gitas, like some copies of it, just out for you people to take. So I think because this guy that didn't look like your typical Hare Krishna was giving them out actually for free, not free for a donation, I was more receptive to it and I took one. And I didn't read it until I got to this place where I ended up moving to. And yeah. Oh, and not only that, at the time I was reading a lot of Carl Jung as well, a psychologist. So a mix of reading Carl Jung and the Bhagavad Gita at the same time, it tied together some shit, a lot of shit in my head. And from there on in, all I can say is God is. God simply is. As God said to Moses, when Moses asked, "What are you? Who are you?" I am. God simply is. And, you know, that's just a general sort of overview of how I came from being in a state of lamentable nothingness to actually seeing the beauty and embracing, I don't know, the divine love and so forth. Yeah. You know, you want me to specify anything, please leave a comment and I will ramble on for too long or just long enough. Up to you, really. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with this channel, but I'm just going to keep uploading things. And I, you know, whoever's out there, thank you. Bless you. You are loved. Bye-bye.